Someone made you feel like the most important person in the world. They texted you constantly. They said things nobody had ever said to you before. They made you feel seen, chosen, finally understood. And then one day, without warning, they changed. The warmth disappeared. The attention vanished. And you were left wondering what you did wrong. You did nothing wrong. Your brain was hijacked. And neuroscience can now explain exactly how it happened. This is not a story about bad people. This is a story about what happens inside your brain when someone floods it with more warmth than it was ever designed to receive at once. It is called love bombing. And it works, not because you are weak or naive. It works because your nervous system is not designed to be suspicious of warmth. Here is what actually happened inside your brain. The moment someone began showering you with intense attention and affection, your brain did something automatic. It released dopamine. Dopamine is your brain's reward chemical. It is the same chemical released when you eat your favorite food, when you win something, when something unexpectedly good happens. But here is what most people do not know about love bombing. Normal relationships build dopamine gradually, over weeks, over months. Trust earns it slowly. Love bombing does something completely different. It creates what neuroscientists describe as an artificial tidal wave. Research shows dopamine levels during love bombing can spike 5 to 10 times above baseline. 5 to 10 times. That is comparable to the dopamine response from cocaine and methamphetamine. Not similar, comparable. Your brain was not falling in love. Your brain was getting chemically flooded, and it had no way to tell the difference. But dopamine was only the beginning, because at the same time, another chemical was being released. Oxytocin. Oxytocin is your brain's bonding hormone. It is released during physical touch, during sustained eye contact, during moments of emotional vulnerability, during deep conversations that feel like they go places no conversation has ever gone before. Love bombing deliberately accelerates all of these. The relationship moves faster than it should. Intimacy arrives before trust has been built. Deep conversations happen in days, not months. And with every one of those accelerated moments, your brain releases more oxytocin, more bonding, more attachment, more of the feeling that this person is safe, that this person is home. Here is the part that should stop you cold. The chemistry of a love-bombed attachment and the chemistry of a genuine earned bond are identical. The same oxytocin, the same neural pathways, the same brain signals. Your brain cannot tell the difference between real intimacy that built slowly over time and manufactured intimacy that was flooded into it in weeks. It can only respond to the signals it is receiving. So when someone told you that you should have known better, they were wrong. Your brain was doing exactly what brains are designed to do. It was bonding. It just bonded to something that was not real. But here is where it gets darker. Because love bombing does not just make you attached. It makes you addicted. And the mechanism behind that addiction is one of the most powerful conditioning processes ever identified in neuroscience. It is called intermittent reinforcement. B.F. Skinner, one of the most influential psychologists in history, discovered something extraordinary. The strongest and most resistant form of behavioral addiction is not created by constant reward. It is created by unpredictable reward. A reward that sometimes comes and sometimes does not, with no way to predict when. This is why gambling is so addictive. Not because you always win, because you sometimes win, and you never know when. Love bombing uses the exact same mechanism. In the early phase, the warmth is constant. The attention never stops. The dopamine keeps flooding. But then, it changes. The warmth becomes unpredictable. Some days they are everything they were before. Some days they are cold and distant. And here is what neuroscience discovered about what happens next. When warmth becomes unpredictable, dopamine does not decrease. It increases, because your brain now has to work for the reward. And the reward your brain is working for is the return of the person who made you feel more seen than anyone ever had. The coldness does not push you away. It pulls you closer. Not because you are weak, because your brain was chemically conditioned, without your knowledge or consent. And then it stopped. When the love-bombing phase ended, when the attention finally disappeared, your brain did not process it as disappointment. It processed it as crisis. Cortisol flooded in. Adrenaline followed, the same stress response your brain activates when something genuinely dangerous is happening. Because to your brain, something dangerous was happening. It had bonded to this person as deeply as it bonds to anyone. And now they were gone. The withdrawal was real. The pain was real. Not because you were too sensitive, because your brain had been chemically rewired and was now experiencing withdrawal from a neurochemical flood that should never have been created in the first place. This is why just leave is such useless advice. Because your brain is not in a relationship. Your brain is in withdrawal. And withdrawal does not respond to logic. It responds to time and understanding, and the knowledge that what happened to you was not a failure of judgment. It was a failure of the person who deliberately, or instinctively, learned to use your brain's own chemistry against you. So how do you know the difference between love bombing and genuine connection? Neuroscience gives you one clear signal. Healthy love builds gradually. It feels warm, but not overwhelming. It moves at a pace that allows your thinking brain, your prefrontal cortex, to evaluate what is actually happening. Love bombing bypasses that evaluation entirely. It floods your emotional brain before your rational brain has had time to gather enough information. If a relationship ever made you feel like you could not think clearly, like everything was moving faster than you could process, like the intensity was almost too much, but also impossible to walk away from, that was not passion. That was your prefrontal cortex being bypassed. That was the flood. Your nervous system is not broken for having responded to it. It did exactly what it was designed to do. The problem was never you. The problem was the speed. And the person who chose that speed, knowing or unknowingly, before your brain had any chance to protect itself. You were not naive. You were human. And your brain, powerful as it is, was never built to defend itself against someone who learned how to weaponize warmth.